Hey guys, welcome. Today I've got my tier 2 desolator. It is a desolator, but it's got quite a few good features on it. So I have integrated the back of this with hot glue because it's not permanent right now. I'm gonna get epoxy putty and finish this whole thing out. This is a raptorstrike stock. So this whole build is a bit like the Strayven. In terms of the storage stock in the back with the integrated shell and the general design of it. This is more of an SMG style. Since this isn't a strife, it doesn't have this general backing. The battery is right here on the other side, so there's nothing back here, so I was able to downgrade it some. You can make it go a lot shorter if you want to. It won't really matter too much. It just might not line up quite as right. But right in this area, I have it back a little bit further. You just want to cut off the end piece so you have a place to anchor this. The raptorstrike stock, you just leave it how it is. Basically, you just cut off at the back of it right behind the little thumb hole kind of thing. Moving on to the base blaster, this is a already modded desolator. So this has it's got general stuff. Let's just take off top piece right here. So this has just got the general modding to it. Basically, it's got a unrestricted motor cage basically, so it doesn't have unbrushed motors or anything like that because that goes to more expensive. This is a very basic mod kind of in terms of integrations. This isn't going to be a LiPo one, although you could upgrade it to a LiPo internally if you wanted to at some point. There's nothing really you need to do with the lock systems or anything unless you wanted to get an upgraded trigger or any of the buttons and stuff. This you don't want to mess with really, just because the front I've had to saw off completely, the whole front part and the little loop in the front. Be warned, you might get a little bit of damage with that due to how the handle is, because this handle on the front, it's like a little horizontal grip, so it's not actually part of the blaster. It's like a separate little handle thing that can be screwed off. This I just have in here for the moment, but at some point I am going to be getting a big thing of worker clear orange barrel, and then I'm going to be putting this on the front, so it's going to look kind of like that on the front. I could take off these little pieces, but I think it'll fit better kind of. So that will be in two pieces. This is going to be kind of difficult to separate kind of. This part and the whole front kind of aren't that hard, but the front of this blaster is very hard to come off. I've actually chipped it down in the handle area, so it's not the best. But other than that, this is basically just it's a pretty clean in terms of internals for just basic reasons. It's basically just a strife and a reshell. I will say, however, there is the wire runs right through the mag area, so it could rub and stuff or come loose mid-battle and then rip out one of your connection spots in your cords. So once you get the shell off, it's pretty simple on the inside. The normal trigger system. This has batteries in it right now. I have put painter's tape right here to just kind of keep that in there. It doesn't really matter if you leave it in there or not. The hot glue and painter's tape right here I have just as a temporary thing to hold this together. I will be using this at Nerf War, so it'll be able to hold up for that reasons, but it won't be the sturdiest, so I'll have to be relatively careful. But the painter's tape keeps the hot glue from dripping too far down. When I did this, it went through all the way some, so I had to just kind of cut it open a little bit, just use a screwdriver to pop it out where it was connected, due to hot glue being relatively not very hard to get off in terms of stuff. So that was better than me just putting epoxy putty on this and having it drip through and then my things be permanently stuck together, because the point of this is that I upgrade it as my nerfing career goes on. So basic stock part of the thing, So you see there's not really anything that's affecting the inner part right here, because that doesn't really need anything to like lock it onto. You want to use a flathead screwdriver to kind of pry this apart, especially in the front. You want to kind of be very delicate, because if you just try to pull it apart, it's going to get stuck here and just like cause a chip. If you can see that, there's a chip right there. I just have basic motors. I got Saul Wilson to mod this for me. He did it last year at some point. Eventually my wire snapped and I couldn't really do anything with this, so I solved this problem by just sticking it down in there and like melting the plastic around it and stuff, which is also what I did for like the front of this, to open up this to where I could slide this through, because originally it's just a small little barrel, which isn't very good for Nerf in terms of this type of weapon, because the barrel was too small, so they would just go flying everywhere. I need this to be at least this long, but I'm gonna have it a little bit longer with this, so it's not even gonna poke out the front. It's just gonna be at the flat front kind of, or I might make it poke out the front just a little bit. But this I will always keep as like a short barrel kind of. I won't really do anything with it, due to that I can't put it in that and this and through there. I can't even take off the barrel on this and just keep that, because if I could, that would be awesome. But the trigger system is all the same as the desolator once you unbox it. The wiring in here is a little bit different than kind of just a normal thing, because Saul Wilson tried to put some LEDs in here, and those didn't really work quite right because the voltage wasn't correct. Should have been kind of cool if they were in there, where whenever I revved up, they would turn on. I might end up putting like one LED in here at some point on like a little switch that I could like cut a hole out where that chip is or something in the front of this, that I could have just a little switch that I could flip, and then I would turn on my lights in here, and I could like hide one right behind there and then one up on here, so I could get some light on the top, so I could see my my darts in the gun as I try to unjam them. Overall, this is a pretty easy mod in terms of integrations, due to the fact that the stock and the desolator kind of merge together pretty good. I will say that this probably, if you're going to make a Strayven, I would rather go with this as an option, in terms of it's a lot cheaper nowadays. The raptorstrike you can turn into like a grenade launcher kind of, and make like a raptorstrike 2.0. You don't really need the stock, I guess. And overall, it's not necessarily the best in terms of sniper rifles that you would need an extra stock, although it is a pretty great overall weapon in terms of its bolt system. I do think that this is pretty good though. With this, I will say, however, you do want to take off this if you're going to use any other darts other than Nerf Elite darts, because Nerf Elite darts aren't the best, so I prefer to run some yellow darts. So these are just cheap yellow darts. They run through this pretty decently. Without the rubber part on the front, they kind of would get stuck, and then I'd have to completely unjam it, which was annoying. So I solved that problem by taking that off, and that was actually when I got the chip, because I was being kind of a noob at this and stuff. And another thing I failed at was when I was putting these all together and I was going to take it apart for the first time, I actually had this glued onto the front, and this thing would not come apart in this area, which is annoying because it's just that kind of tight in the front. So with this, when I do my full cosmetic on this, I'm gonna have to have this as a separate piece, which I'm fine with, because then all I'll have to do is like hot glue it to the front so it stays there, which will be fine, because then I can actually like switch to like shorter barrel or anything. Or if I ever needed to redo the front, I wouldn't have just one big piece of whatever. I haven't come up with a name for this completely yet, although I have thinking about calling it the Eclipse. That's not like a blurration of the names or anything yet, so it's still up for grabs, but that's just what I'm calling it at this point. So for the cosmetics, this front piece, this part will stay a black color, which will be the same color as this, hopefully, because if I can get this exact same paint, I will, because this is a great paint. Saul Wilson used it, and along with this brush on paint, I will, however, do a thicker layer at some point. I might have to go back over it again. But this is going to be the orange. I'm going to brush on whatever there, or I might just make this whole thing black and then brush on orange in the front right there, which would be cool. This is going to be the same color scheme for the body part right here. It'll be pretty cool to have that like that. The stock is going to be a black. I'm going to have brush on orange right here and orange on the top where the gray is right there. So it'll be pretty cool once it's all finished. The mag I might even spray paint completely. And whatever. I really don't like this mag. It is not the best for terms of practicality. It just looks cool. Personally, I would use the 12 round stick mags with this, because you can stick one back here, so you have little shots there, and then put your other mag in there. It's not really all that bulky. It stays out of the way of that, even though this clip is semi-banana clip. It will basically be the same, although you'll get 2 less shots. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will have this mod done probably over the summer, or sooner if I can get the supplies in. It will be a do as is kind of thing, so I will have multiple videos like this that will kind of illustrate what I've been doing over the past time. I had a spoiler for this earlier on my channel. Not many people watched it. I also post this on my Instagram, which is where I'll mainly be posting stuff. This is just the general update of the internals and stuff, so it'll be pretty interesting once I have it finished. I will be running IMRs on it, due to the fact that LiPos would be more expensive to do, because I'd have to get new motors and stuff and rewire it again, which is undesirable at the moment. And IMRs are only like $20 for the batteries and another $20 for the charger, so it won't be that bad. This has been Studio Q. I will see you at another Nerf something, maybe soon, because Sam's birthday party might be on at some point, so that'll be cool if I can get footage from that. So that'll be pretty cool. I'll leave a link in the description if that happens. So if you're new to the channel and want to watch more videos from me, that would be cool. I'm pretty good at Nerf, I will say. I'm not the most professional at it. Sam might even let me use his IMRs for this, because I will be using my Eclipse at the Nerf War if there is one. And if not, we might just do a 1v1, I don't know.